Tonight, that terrifying car crash in Cape Coast is sure to have you screaming as a speeding truck rams into 3 vehicles and a pedestrian at the T-junction. Tonight, the latest on the victims. A new level unlocked in the fight against Galamsey. Chinese and Ghanaian authorities trade accusations about who is the true culprit behind the conquer of illegal gold mine in Ghana. Tonight, stakeholders weigh in. Plus, the Labour Front boils from new heat. Health Accountant Staff Association want their conditions of service and they want it yesterday. Tonight, all there is to know. Oh, those are the big stories. I'm so grateful for your company. If you're watching us on TV3, this is Ghana Tonight. You may also be listening to us on 392.7 FM. We are also streaming live on 3news.com, Facebook, X.com, and on YouTube as well. So do get in touch with us. Remember to use the hashtag Ghana Tonight if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments. Let's now bring you a summary of some of the evening's biggest stories.
President John Dramani Mahama has, after a National Security Council meeting, announced a 1 billion cedi retooling of security services in the country. The announcement comes in the wake of several challenges these services have faced in recent time relating their prompt responsiveness to emergency situations.
I managed to squeeze the Minister of Finance hand behind his back, and we'll get a budget of 1 billion cedis for retooling of your various services. Fire service needs fire equipment urgently. Let me say I empathize with my sister here. When the fire service arrives late, people get angry, but they just don't have the fire tenders. The last set of fire tenders were bought almost 9 years, 10 years ago from Professor Mills's time. There's not been a retooling. Most of those tenders are broken down.
Amid rising tensions in Bawku, the General Officer commanding the Northern Command of Ghana Armed Forces, Brigadier General Frank Walanyo Agbebo, has visited Bawku to rally troops and reinforce military efforts in restoring peace and stability. The visit forms part of efforts by the Military High Command to assess ongoing peacekeeping operations in the region. The General commended the troops for their tireless efforts in maintaining peace and order and urged them to remain professional, neutral, and vigilant in the face of rising tensions.
Even if you are all British, you think you have to go to town, you have to go in your uniform, with your arms, and at least in person. And let your commanders know that you are going to do ask permission, so that they know that for the next 1 hour you are going to buy something and come, or you are, otherwise, is your journey here necessary? If it's not, don't go there. There's something that's going around the social media. Who can hop there? That's the person who asks you. If your journey there is not necessary, do not go there.
A Supreme Court nominee, Justice Kweku Teria Akabuafo, has clarified that the Attorney General does not commit any breach in providing information on cases being prosecuted. He has rather cautioned prosecutors to be measured in their public commentary on cases under investigation, warning that any prejudicial remarks could compromise fair trial standards.
This society has grown a bit sophisticated and want to receive information. If the Attorney General takes the position that these are matters that I ought to place before the public to be aware of, it may be within the context of providing information. But if the Attorney General goes ahead to make comments alluding that the person is already guilty, in my view, that will be a breach of the Constitution.
Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa said the government is rigorously engaged in the reclamation and revegetation of illegally mined out areas. He added that punishment for perpetrators of illegal mining will be strictly enforced. Answering questions on the floor of the House, the sector minister said 8 out of 9 red zone mining areas have been reclaimed.
The following forest reserves, which were red zones, have been reclaimed: Gemira and Gemira Extension, Afao Hills Forest Reserve, Tano Anwea Forest Reserve, Ofin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve, Anweasu East Forest Reserve, Ashuansu South Forest Reserve, Subri Forest Reserve, and Asinayo Forest Reserve. The Ministry and the Forest Commission were able to recover this reserve through a collaborative effort with the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ghana Police. Efforts are still ongoing to take over the last reserve.
The Bank of Ghana is raising fresh alarm over rising cyber threats targeting the country's financial sector. It says the growing reliance on digital platforms has made financial systems vulnerable to cyber attacks, hence the need for capacity building.
In 2024, over 40% of assessed entities showed critical vulnerabilities, particularly in access control and incident response. We are addressing these gaps with targeted interventions.
Let's get into some big business tonight. A look at those shocking motor crashes in the central region. A total of 3 lives lost in 2 separate accidents. Let's get into that now. Now, the moment that's got many of us screaming our lungs out. The driver appears to have lost control of the track, running into the stationary vehicles and a pedestrian, killing 1 person. As you see there on your screens, in that footage, the truck carrying sand hits the Nissan Sentra, Honda CR-V, and the tricycle, each with at least 1 occupant and what appears to be a young man, before coming to a halt. Now, this crash took place on the section of the road in front of the West Gate of the University of Cape Coast on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway. Tonight, our regional correspondent, Thomas Khan, returned to the scene. He will join us in a bit with more on this. But there you have it. Police are now telling us that 1 person has died from that incident. This is the video that got me screaming all night today. Now, this incident took place yesterday. We know the authorities are investigating how this incident took place at all, how it happened, you know. And that's the truck now being taken out of the median after it rammed into the vehicles, obviously not suffering as much damage as the smaller vehicles. The driver or the occupant of that vehicle, who's now been identified, as Bright Isel, a 29-year-old, is assistant police with investigations. But let's have a quick conversation with Chief Inspector Isaac Evans Etty. He's Deputy PR for the Central Region. Chief, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here on the program. But, you know, I've seen the statement that you've released. You indicated that 1 person has died. We saw that this was, a number of victims in this incident. Talk to us about this person who has died. Who died?
Good evening once again. Yes, the 19-year-old Lincoln, the pedestrian who was standing there, died when they were rushed to the University of Cape Coast Hospital. The medical doctor on duty reported to us that he died when they got to the hospital. So, in all, at the time, 6 people got injured and they were sent to the hospital, and 1 died. So 5 were receiving treatment and they are okay. 3 have been discharged and 2 are currently on admission, but they are doing fine. They are doing fine.
I see. Talk to us about how police is treating this motor crash.
Thank you. So we received some distress calls that some tipper truck driver had run over some pedestrian cars on the west gate of the University of Cape Coast west gate. So we got there. The initial investigation we did was that the driver said he lost control. He wanted to apply brakes, and for some reason he accelerated from some sort. That's what he told initially. That's how he got off his lane and ran into the cars and the pedestrian yesterday afternoon.
I see. Talk to us about the whereabouts of this driver. We understand from your statement is a 29-year-old identified as Bright Acel?
Yes. Currently he is in police custody assisting with the investigation. He has to go, the tipper truck has to go DVLA testing, and also he has to go through other checks to ascertain whatever he said initially. Then we proceed to court for prosecution.
I see. I want to talk to you a bit more about the tipper truck driver, but from that statement, we see that all the drivers of the Nissan Sentra, the Honda CR-V, and even the tricycle are all labeled as suspects. Why is that the case?
Yes, thank you. So when a road crash or accident happens like that, in that instance, everyone is labeled suspect. So in the investigation to the case, who revealed who the victims are and who the perpetrator or the predator is. So as at this time, they are all suspects. In the investigation will reveal who is who and who is not who. At this moment, they are all suspects. We have to go through their papers, driving license, and other things. We need to inspect all the 4 cars to ascertain who is illegally driving, who is not, and if they are something like that. That's why at this moment they are labeled suspects.
I see. How often do you see road crashes in the central region or in your jurisdiction?
Thank you. Central region relatively is peaceful. Some pockets of accident happening, but we are trying. The education is going on. Earlier this month, the MPTU commander and his team went out to educate drivers on overspeeding and what passengers should do, should the driver driving them overspeed and stuff like that. We are still trying, but this has some developmental mechanical fault when we go there. That's what they tell us immediately, but later you find out it's their fault and other things. So the MPTU in the region is trying its best to help reduce the road carnage.
I see. Now, just to clarify, have you got to the point in your investigation where you know who your true suspect is?
Not at the moment. We are still, because the victims have been, three, like I said, have been discharged. 2 are currently on admission. We want to take all their statements, put them together, and we proceed. So we are at that stage as of now. We want them to, currently we are thinking of their health. So we want to give them some written statements, but we'll still take statements from them, including the suspects, and put them together and go straight to the court.
I see. Chief, talk to us about what you'd like road users to know at this time?
Thank you. Just like I said, the MPC commander in Central region has been going around. So we want to add that the traffic should reduce speeding on the road. We are in the rainy season, and the roads are very slippery. The little sunshine we get doesn't mean they should run anyhow. They should be patient. And we also encourage the passengers that when the driver is overspeeding, you need to judge his attention and possibly report to the nearest police on the road, so that things like this wouldn't happen. Lives like that wouldn't be lost. The guy who lost his life is a 19-year-old boy. I'm sure he's about starting his life. So we encourage everyone, the passengers, road users, everybody should be on the lookout to help reduce the road carnage. It's getting out of hand.
I see. Chief, I mean, outside of the name and age of the deceased, what else do we know about him?
Please, come with the question again.
What else do we know about the 19-year-old who died in this accident besides his name and age?
Thank you. What we got to know is that he's not a student of the university. He's just a pedestrian was going his normal duties, and this happened to him. So far, that's what we gathered. And these people are around, so we'll be making sure the body is taken care of and possibly interred.
Very well.
In the next time, yes.
I appreciate you talking to us tonight. Thank you so much. Chief Inspector Isaac Evans Etis, Deputy PR for the Central Region. We'll stay on the subject because we know in another accident in the same region, 2 people were killed as a tanker traveling from Mankisim to Accra collided with a saloon car. Again, our correspondent reported on this issue. It tells us that authorities are investigating the crash that left the saloon car unrecognizable. Thomas Khan also returned to the scene of the Cape Coast accident as well. He's been picking more information about what went on, the nature of this area. He's joining us with a bit more. Thomas, we're seeing those night pictures you brought from the area. It is pitch black. The only source of light coming from that west gate and vehicular movement in that area. Talk to us about this.
So, Keminni, this is exactly where the accident happened. And anybody who's UCC Westgate or anybody who applies the Cape Coast Friday Road knows this very intersection. Recently, just a couple of weeks or months ago, we saw that the Ghana Highway Authority has been constructing a footbridge over there to also help pedestrians crossing that road to use. As we speak now, that footbridge is still under construction. But Keminni, on that same stretch, what we do realize is that this somehow has, in history, has recorded a couple of accidents, sometimes very gory. And what we are talking about now is one of the gory accidents that that stretch is known for. You can see from the footage or the shot that we have, the place is really dark, and this is something that has got many residents talking about. You know, this is a highway that does not serve just Ghana. This is an international highway that connects Ghana and Ivory Coast, and the place is just too dark. And there are some residents who are worried that if this accident had happened in the night, maybe it would have been worse than what we are talking about. We were there a while ago, and the whole place is dark. And you could see people who are also trying to cross the road. And thankfully, the footbridge is under construction, but it's yet not ready for use. So people have to still risk their lives in crossing the road where there are speeding vehicles using the same road. So, Keminni, it is a serious road for people to use, talking about the safety of the road.
I see. And Thomas, you spoke with, a road user on that section who coincidentally witnessed the accident earlier in the day. Let's take a listen to this road user or witness, so to speak. We'll come back to you, and then you conclude with us what you have picked from the ground. Here's an eyewitness.
Sure, I wasn't here when the accident occurred, but I watched the footage on social media, Facebook to be precise. And I think I'm also a driver. You know, there's a big problem with this road, especially the intersection here at the UCC West Gate. You know, you can see it's a dual carriage. It's a dual carriage, and before the dual carriage starts, from there, when you watch at the end of the dual carriage, but when you are coming, it starts. You see that the middle of the road is supposed to be painted red and white, and the middle too is very bushy. You see, so this one problem. You have to put a reflector on it. You see, because when you are coming from this side in the evening, it's very dangerous. You can test
so
for yourself.
You are talking about in the night.
In the night. But what happened today? I don't know whom we should blame, but probably it's a truck loaded with electric that if I run into that two vehicles, including the Tragia, the tricycle. You see, so I don't know what happened. Maybe it could be a brake failure, because it's just a straight road, but he managed to go off the road and run into two cars. That's one aspect, and I think there's a problem here. Section here, no. You see that the road, it curves, but when you are there, you have to come forward a bit so that the car's tail won't be at the road for the other side of the road.
Okay.
So.
Well, now that's a road user on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway when Thomas Khan returned to the scene of the accident. If you're listening to us on 392.7 FM, I'd encourage you to, look at our Facebook page as we show you pictures and videos of the accident. But Thomas, the person you spoke to, who also tells us that he himself, a driver, outlined a number of concerns on that stretch. How does it resonate with the rest of the community around that area?
It's something that is very dear to the heart of the people, because they feel that authorities have really sat down for a lot of lives to be lost, and they want action to be taken now. Apart from what we are learning of what happened at UCC, this footbridge, they expected this long ago, but thankfully they've now begun the construction. But they're asking that the footbridge will be completed very soon, so that the students, that is an area that a lot of the UCC students use to commute to town and all of that. Apart from that, just on that stretch, we have some beaches around, and also it's an intersection that when anybody wants to go to Accra or Takoradi, people would want to use that road to cross to the other end, to get a car, to travel and all of that. So I think an important stretch that people think that security on that stretch should be taken seriously by authorities, especially at night. That the whole place is dark. That is also posing a security concern.
Indeed. Thomas, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thomas Khan is a Central Region correspondent. In a tad, we'll take those concerns to the Regional Road Safety Authority, find out what role they can play to make things better for the road users, motorists and pedestrians alike on that stretch. In the meantime, let's show you some numbers, right? Let's compare national road crashes numbers to regional numbers, and then zero in on the Central Region, because we know that compared to half the year 2024 to now, there's an increase of about 7.9% in road crashes. So now the figure as of June stands at 3,674. The number of people who have died, the number of people who have been killed as a result of this is 752. And check that out. We are also seeing a marginal increase as well. But here's the thing when it comes to life. A marginal increase is still a very significant increase because nobody is what? 23%, right? It's 23% is too many, you know. In absolute figures, we're seeing 752 people being killed when you compare to the same period in 2024. Now, when you go down a little bit, you see that the number of pedestrians who have been hit or affected in road crashes, about 650, some 13.4% when you compare to 2024. Now, let's look at those quarterly crash trends, and I want us to compare fatalities and the crashes, because we are seeing that over a 2-year period from 2023 to 2025, comparing quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and even quarter 4 to quarter 1, quarter 2 of 2024 and the first quarter of 2025, we are seeing a rise. Look at how that red line is rising. And that red line is the number of fatalities that we are seeing. So in this year alone, we're seeing a lot of people die from road crashes. Compare that to the number of actual crashes that we've had. Look at how the line is dancing, the wave it shows us. But ultimately, it tells us that we are not doing a great job keeping ourselves safe on the roads. Now, let's look at that regional comparison, right? Greater Accra takes the lead with 1,450 cases of crashes, followed by Ashanti region, 1,210. The Eastern region comes in next, then the Central region with 482. Now, remember, I told you that we'll focus on the Central region. While we're doing that, take a look at this. Because when you look at the regional crash distribution, yes, Greater Accra is in the lead, but on fatalities per every 100 crash, the Eastern region takes the lead. But the Eastern region is not our focus tonight. I want you to look at the Central region. Remember that in the number of crashes, the Central region is what? Number 4. But in the number of deaths or fatalities, the Central region is number 3. And it takes the lead over Greater Accra, which had the highest number of crashes. Now, the question I'm sure you're asking yourself is why? Well, we could do the statistics and say, look, perhaps it's per population. It makes it look like the Central region is high. But one thing is clear, that the Central region has a problem. And the problem is roads. And that's why we are talking to Linda Afote-Annan, who's regional head of the National Road Safety Authority. Linda, I appreciate you joining us tonight. But let's start off from the incidents we have seen this week. The crash at Cape Coast, the other one in Mankasim. When you listen to the people from the Cape Coast crash area, they say that the roads are not well lit. They are worried about security there. How does this come to you as the National Road Safety Authority in the region?
Okay, hello. Yeah, good evening, Keminni.
Yes.
And good evening to your cherished listeners as well. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's quite disheartening having to record such a gory crash yesterday, and especially this year, the way our crashes have gone. I mean, I was looking at the statistics that you were showing, and it clearly shows that all our indicators have really shot up, especially our fatalities, and that is quite unfortunate. Yes, the issues that the gentleman enumerated are very true. The security issues, the lightning issues, daily crashes around the place. It's a cause of worry. And that is the reason why, we don't work alone. We don't work in vacuum. We work with stakeholders. And our stakeholders basically are road agencies. We equally work with the assembly. And, when it comes to the lightening of our roads, it dwells mainly in the hands of the assembly. And just this Monday, we have the MCE for Cape Coast Metro met with stakeholders. We have outlined some interventions, and they have an 8-year development plan. And in the 8-year development plan, there are interventions for these street lights. And the unfortunate part of it is, usually when these street lights are installed, we still have people in the communities, people around, stealing some of these cables, stealing the lights, cutting off cables and all that. And that is sometimes the cause of this darkness, especially along our highways. However, they are looking at the best way out to ensure that we have stabilized visibility, especially in the night, and that will equally increase security. When it comes to the road network, so the footbridge that is there is supposed to help reduce pedestrian knockdowns. That is being done by the Department of Urban Roads, actually. I heard Mr. Khan mentioning Ghana Highway Authority. It is actually the work of Department of Urban Roads, and that is to help reduce the pedestrian knockdowns, especially around that area. And so for we as the National Road Safety Authority, as this work is going on, and we know that it's going to help reduce some form of crashes, especially for the pedestrian, we need to equally sensitize the pedestrians. And so the university community, we have written to them that we need to do a lot of education for the pedestrians, the students, even everyone within the community, because they use the West Gate a lot. And so we need to educate them to ensure that they are using the footbridge that is being constructed for them. Now, when it comes to the road network itself, that one is the work of the Ghana Highway Authority. And for them, they also have some interventions that within the next week or two, they are going to start implementing. For instance, there are rumble strips there. Most of the crashes that we see, and even yesterday, when you saw the speed that the truck driver ran into the three vehicles, and that means that there's a speed issue there, and so they intend to reduce the speed of most of the vehicles that ply the road, because it's an intersection, and so there's a need to reduce the speed. And so Ghana Highway Authority, there are some rumble strips there, which unfortunately some of them are flattened. And so they want to heighten those, increase the height of the rumble strips, then paint them as well so that they'll be visible.
Right.
Then aside that, along the stretch, the Westgate stretch, they also intend to put the speed tables, and so that will drastically reduce the speed of the commuters along that stretch. Then you can see that there is this island, and that island, unfortunately, most of the motorists are not respecting it. And so what the Ghana Highway Authority intends to do is that they will redesign that island, and after designing, they will erect some crash barriers around it, so that will necessarily force the commuters to reduce their speed when they get there. And so a lot is being done around the place. And of course, the National Road Safety Authority, we are equally doing our sensitizations. We are using the traditional media to do our sensitization. Then we are doing the face-to-face education as well.
Well, Linda, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for your time. Linda Afote Annan is regional head of the National Road Safety Authority in the Central Region. We'll keep an eye on developments as far as road safety is concerned. But let's turn attention at this time to another very concerning issue. Tonight, the Chinese have had enough. They will no longer take the blame for widespread illegal mining in Ghana. The ambassador points Ghana in what he believes is the right direction to dump our blame. Tonight, the People's Republic of China is fending off accusations its citizens are not responsible, or is fending off accusations that its citizens are responsible for the unending scourge of illegal mining in the country. Now, I know we have indeed reported on many occasions Chinese nationals arrested or deported for illegal mining. But before you blow out your steam or fury, surprise, or whatever emotion is welling up in your belly at this time, hear me out. Or rather, hear him out. Here's Ambassador Tong Duffer.
I do not know what's the reason why when people say Galamsey, they normally equals that with Chinese. But actually, it is not Chinese who, the issue is not originated from Chinese. I mean, you can see those mining, Chinese people cannot get the license, cannot get the permit. It's the Ghanaian people who draw Chinese people over here, and some of those people who are even caught red-handed, even though they are caught red-handed, they are just some like migrant workers to come here to make a living. I'm not treated well because they always say, because I have a social media, when I posted X on my social media, then people say, "Hey, Ambassador Galamsey, it seems Galamsey is caused by China. So this is unfair to me. Am I correct? This is unfair to me. This is really unfair to me, and unfair to the overwhelming majority of Chinese. They have involved a lot of sectors. You can see, you can say, a lot of buildings built by Chinese companies, your roads built by Chinese companies, your port built by Chinese companies. But is any normal Ghanaian people know about this? Or even they know it, they always say Galamsey. They always say Galamsey.
He said that. Did he drop the mic? Any lies detected? All right, let's take a look at it again. Ambassador Tong Duffer tells us that, listen, we come here for good business. We're building your roads, your hospitals, and many likes. Let's run it back. Let's take a listen to the ambassador.
I do not know what's the reason why when people say Galamsey, they normally equals that with Chinese. But actually, it is not Chinese who, the issue is not originated from Chinese. I mean, you can see those mining, Chinese people cannot get the license, cannot get the permit. It's the Ghanaian people who draw Chinese people over here, and some of those people who are even caught red-handed, even though they are caught red-handed, they are just some like migrant workers to come here to make a living. I'm not treated well because they always say, because I have a social media, when I posted X on my social media, then people say, "Hey, Ambassador Galamsey, it seems Galamsey is caused by China. So this is unfair to me. Am I correct? This is unfair to me. This is really unfair to me, and unfair to the overwhelming majority of Chinese. They have involved a lot of sectors. You can see, you can say, a lot of buildings built by Chinese companies, your roads built by Chinese companies, your port built by Chinese companies. But is any normal Ghanaian people know about this? Or even they know it, they always say Galamsey.
Oh, that's one unhappy ambassador. But stay with me, because the question you should be asking now is, how did we get here? But you're in luck, because I'll tell you. I'll start off with a day earlier. While in China, Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, asked Chinese nationals to do legal business as he should, in our country.
Against what we will not accept is if you come to our country, you flout our laws, you destroy our environment, our river bodies. We know some of your Nanin is internationally known for mining. You have a lot of interest in gold, and you are mining expert. If you do legal mining, responsible mining, we don't have any issue with you. You will be our friend. But if you come and engage in illegal mining, irresponsible mining, and you destroy our river bodies, you destroy our forests against Ghanaian law, and putting our lives at risk, as for that, you won't be our friends. And we are going all out against our own nationals, Ghanaians, who are doing the wrong things in the mining sector. So if we are going after Ghanaians, how much more foreigners? You know, we are not sparing Ghanaians. A number of Ghanaians who have engaged in illegal mining.
Now, outside of whatever constitutes appropriate diplomatic lingo, remains the bigger problem of the devastating impact of galamsey or illegal mining on this nation, the Republic of Ghana. Let's have a conversation for the sake of that. I'll bring in now Awolai Sewa, who is National Coordinator for Eco-Conscious Citizens. Listen, Awolai has been fighting on the forefront. She's been at the forefront of the fight against galamsey. I want to hear from her whether or not this country has been dumping the blame on the wrong side of affairs, as the Chinese ambassador would have us believe, because obviously he's unhappy. He says it's unfair to him and his citizens, and as he represents the Chinese government here, we would say that that is the view of the Chinese government. But while we are working to bring back Awolai Sewa, because we lost her on that connection, galamsey was also a topic of interest in Parliament earlier today. And our government is telling us, look, we are making strides to ensure that anyone, including immigrants or foreigners who are in our country and engage in this illegal activity, will face strict punishment. He also talks about land reclamation and how they are restoring the environment. Let's take a listen to Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua.
The following forest reserves, which were red zones, have been reclaimed. Jemira and Jemira Extension, Afao Hills Forest Reserve, Tano Anwea Forest Reserve, Ofin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve, Ahwiansu East Forest Reserve, Ahwiansu South Forest Reserve, Subri Forest Reserve, and Asinayo Forest Reserve. The Ministry and the Forest Commission were able to recover this reserve through a collaborative effort with the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ghana Police. Efforts are still ongoing to take over the last reserve. To speak again, through the effective collaboration with the Ministry of Defense, we are developing a system where the Forestry Commission will have the military provide backup support, especially in hotspots areas or in situations where the rapid response teams of the Forestry Commission are unable to enforce these laws. The Speaker, the Ministry is also working closely with the Forestry Commission and other agencies to source support, to procure key logistics, to improve mobility of officers, to enhance surveillance and monitoring for early detection of forest offenses. Now, Speaker, have engaged the Attorney General to also explore possibility of specialized courts to deal swiftly on the issues of illegal mining. The Speaker, as part of efforts to garner support for this fight, the Ministry, in collaboration with key stakeholders, has intensified sensitization of various communities on the effects of illegal mining on the environment, human health, and the need to carry out responsible mining.
Emmanuel Amakofibua is Lands and Natural Resources Minister. I want to take a quick break at this point. When we return, let's talk to Awolai Sewa and find out whether or not this country has been targeting Chinese nationals in this country wrongfully, what we could do to properly navigate around our quest to mitigate illegal mining and the involvement of foreigners in our land. Don't go away. 92.7 FM. Let's get back to that Galamsey story and what appears to be a blame trade between Ghana's foreign affairs minister and the ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Ghana, Tong Dafa. Awolasewa is National Coordinator for Eco-Conscious Citizens. She's also an advocate for the environment. She joined us for a bit more on this story. I mean, when you listen to the Chinese ambassador, it would appear that what he's trying to tell the Ghanaian people is you're dumping your blame on the wrong doorsteps. Is he right?
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me. I mean, we have to face facts. The Chinese ambassador doesn't issue Chinese nationals with visas to come to Ghana. We issue the visas. When you're when you go for a visa, all sorts of questions are asked. You may need an invitation letter. So we are issuing the visas. The Chinese nationals come here. How do they find their way to our forest reserves and water bodies? There's obviously complicity. So to just expect the Chinese to take the full blame, yes, they are destroying our environment, but who is to blame? Why are we allowing them to do so? We can stop them because any person who breaks our laws, be they Chinese or Togolese or from Afghanistan, it shouldn't matter where they are from. You enforce your laws and regulations. What is happening is a breakdown of the enforcement of our laws and regulations, as simple as that.
It's clear what he's telling us. You explained, why that could be the case. But much more importantly, learning from what he's told us, what should our authorities be doing?
We should be putting our house in order. Exactly that, putting our house in order. Stop issuing visas for people to come to Ghana when it's clear that they have no real business. Are they coming as tourists? And even when you have a tourist visa, immigration should do its job. You see, there's a breakdown of the systems. You go to the Ghana embassy or wherever, you're asking for a visa. What are you coming to do in Ghana? Is it a visitor? Is it business? What kind of business? Immigration will give you the terms of your visa would determine how long you can stay in the country and what you can do. So I'll repeat what I've said. All we need to do is to enforce our laws and regulations so that no person should come to Ghana and destroy our environment. Do you think that Ghanaian nationals can go to China and begin to do what the Chinese nationals are doing there? The Chinese authorities will not allow you to do so. So if you are unable to enforce your laws and regulations and any nationals can come to your country and behave as they deem fit, whose fault is it? Is Ghana a sovereign nation? We are a sovereign nation. We should therefore sit up and enforce our laws and regulations. And we know very well that most of the time, Ghanaians are behind these environmental terrorists. If we go anywhere and we see Chinese there, it's the Ghanaians who are either complicit or completely involved. And they are just using the Chinese to do the dirty work for them.
I see. But, I mean, also in Parliament, on the flip side, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister is telling us, look, we are making progress in our fights. We're working on land reclamation efforts in certain areas. In addition to that, you're reassuring the Ghanaian people that the law will be strictly applied to illegal miners who are arrested. That progress, is it good enough? Is it believable as far as you are concerned?
You see, we face an existential threat. With the magnitude of the problem, we're on the verge of an ecological disaster. That is why in the run-up to the elections, some demands were made. Declare a state of emergency, revoke LI 2462, pause small-scale mining, and then investigate all those named in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. How many of these have been done? There's not been a targeted state of emergency. LI 2462, a low-hanging fruit, has not been revoked. It has only been amended. When we're told before the elections that it will be revoked, we are still issuing licenses to small-scale miners, even though we don't have the resources to monitor and ensure that the proper thing is being done. So I would say that the lands minister has made some inroads. I wouldn't say he hasn't done anything at all. The IGP has been leading raids with some results, but the magnitude of the problem is that this could be a drop in the ocean. You only have to read the post from Erastus Asaredonko to see how deep the problem is. And again, we don't want it to be the case of musical chairs, because there are names of highly placed persons, whether parliamentarians or party chairmen, who are alleged to be involved or complicit in the illegal mining taking place. So is it a case of musical chairs? We hope not, because Ghanaians didn't vote for musical chairs. So we need all those who are being named, regardless of the political party they belong to be arrested, and for us to see that there's a seriousness in dealing with everybody involved in environmental terrorism, not only a few people. Every single person who is named should be investigated.
Awula, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. We'll leave it here. Awula Sewa is National Coordinator for Eco-Conscious Citizens. We've been looking at that Galamsey trade blame between the government of Ghana and the Chinese ambassador, or, the government of the People's Republic of China, so to speak. And, from Awula's perspective, it's important that we look at our relationship in terms of issuing our visas and having our authorities work and check in to make sure that the people who come here do the right thing. We'll leave that story for now and then turn attention to the labor front, because tonight another strike is in the works. Health Accountant Staff Association of Ghana is threatening industrial action over Fair Wages and Salaries Commission's delays to conclude or in concluding conditions of service negotiations. The association has served notice that if by Monday, June 23, and listen, today is June 20th, which means that they have some 3 days for the commission to convene a meeting, or there will be a disturbance of the peaceful industrial front. And those are the words of the of HASAG, the association, right? And that's the statement you see on your screen at the moment, addressed to the Chief Executive of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Dr. George Smith Graham. And listen, Dr. Graham, we tried to reach out to you this evening. Our calls to you went unanswered. But here is a call on you by HASAG. The health accountant staff are saying, if you do not reconvene a meeting by Monday, June 23, they will go on strike. So there you have it. Another issue of conditions of service. The labor front is not quiet, and it's only half of 2025. The first 6 months of the new government. Okay, we'll leave it here and bring you more tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. here with Alfred Okanse and his panel members as they bring you key points. So there you have it. I expect that it's going to be fireworks. We see Martin Kwebu in there, CEO of Shippers Authority, Professor Jampo. We also see your very favorite, Dr. Zato. And we also see Dr. Amwakoba there. Medusa Kodia also somewhere in there. And then Hesi Malm, legal practitioner. And there we have Alfred Okanse in the bottom. But this Sunday, if you join me on Hot Issues, you hear my conversation with the Vice Chair of the Health Committee in Parliament, Member of Parliament for Dafiama Busi Isa constituency, Dr. Sebastian Menenso Sandare. We had a very good discussion on the health sector, looking at how to keep it quiet and the nurses and midwives happy. We also looked at the Mpox outbreak. And remember that they went on a tour of health facilities in the country. But you don't know what they found. You don't know what the report from that tour is. I will tell you on Sunday because I asked him about it. So make a day, 2 p.m. Hot Issues with me. And that'll be all from us this evening. Thank you so much for your company. I'm Keminni Amanor. Have yourself a pleasant weekend. Bye-bye.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.